Lions faithful, something massive just shifted in Detroit, and I need every single one of you locked in right now because what I'm about to break down could be the difference between another playoff heartbreak and hoisting the Lombardi Trophy at the end of this season. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, your home for breaking news, exclusive updates, and everything you need to know about our Detroit Lions. I've got information today that's going to change how you view this team's championship aspirations. And trust me when I say you're going to want to hear every word of what's coming. Let me set the stage for where we are right now. The Lions are sitting at the top of the NFC North with one of the most explosive offenses in the entire NFL. Jared Goff is playing at an MVP level. Our running game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely devastating defenses, and Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be one of the most reliable receivers in football. On paper, we have everything we need to make a deep playoff run. But here's the reality that every honest Lions fan has to acknowledge. Our defensive line hasn't been generating the kind of consistent pressure and run-stopping ability that championship teams need when the games matter most. We've seen flashes of brilliance from Aiden Hutchinson on the edge, and guys like Aleem McNeil have shown they can be disruptive in the interior. But when you're talking about going toe-to-toe with the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, or whoever comes out of the AFC in the Super Bowl, you need more than just flashes. You need dominant, game-changing players who can take over in crucial moments and make life miserable for opposing quarterbacks and running backs. That's been the missing piece for us, and it's exactly what General Manager Brad Holmes and head coach Dan Campbell have been working tirelessly to address. Now, I want you to think back to a specific moment earlier this season. Remember when we faced certain opponents and there were plays where our offensive line had just a bit too much time to execute, where the pocket stayed clean just a second longer than it should have, where running lanes opened up that a truly elite defensive tackle would have collapsed. Those are the moments that haunt you in January and February when championships are decided. One elite interior defender can be the difference between a quarterback having 3 seconds to throw versus being under pressure in 2 seconds. That split-second difference changes everything about how offenses operate against you. The Lions coaching staff has been studying film all season, identifying exactly what this defense needs to take that next step from being good to being elite. Dan Campbell has always preached about building through the trenches, about dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. We've done that offensively with one of the best offensive lines in football. But defensively, we've needed that one more piece, that difference maker who can command double teams, collapse pockets, and set the tone for an entire defensive unit. The kind of player who makes everyone around him better simply by being on the field. Here's where things get incredibly interesting, and this is where I need you to really pay attention because the information I'm about to share represents a seismic shift in how this team is constructed. There's a 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle who has been one of the most disruptive interior forces in the NFL over the past several years. This player stands 6'3", weighs 302 pounds, and plays with a combination of power, speed, and technique that makes him virtually unblockable in one-on-one situations. His stance is narrow because he's perfected getting that explosive first and second step off the snap. He plays with width, meaning he can control multiple gaps and make it incredibly difficult for offensive lines to establish running lanes. This defensive tackle has been coached by someone who's now on the Lions staff, which means there's already a relationship, already an understanding of techniques and expectations, already a foundation of trust that would make the transition seamless. Imagine bringing in a player who doesn't need months to learn the system because he's already worked extensively with one of your position coaches. That's the kind of advantage that can pay immediate dividends when you're trying to make a championship push. The player I'm talking about has 7 tackles for loss this season and has forced 3 fumbles, showing his ability to not just occupy blockers, but to actively make game-changing plays. He's disruptive in the run game, collapsing pockets in the pass game, and brings a level of consistency that elevates everyone around him. At 27 years old, he's in the absolute prime of his career with the perfect combination of experience and physical ability. And here's the kicker. He has 2 years remaining on his current contract, which means this wouldn't just be a rental for a playoff push. This would be about building something sustainable for multiple championship windows. The defensive tackle I'm describing is Quinnen Williams, and the Detroit Lions are making an aggressive push to bring him to Motor City. Now, before anyone panics about what it might cost, let me walk you through why this makes perfect sense from every angle. Williams was the 3rd overall pick in the 2019 draft, which means he's proven he can perform at the highest level. He signed a 4-year, $96 million extension, showing that his previous team valued him as a cornerstone piece. But sometimes situations change, teams rebuild, and opportunities arise for organizations like the Lions, who are in win-now mode. Think about what adding Quinnen Williams would do to our defensive line rotation. You'd have Aiden Hutchinson coming off the edge as one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. You'd have Williams commanding double teams in the interior, which means Alan McNeil would see more one-on-one matchups where his power and athleticism can take over. Our defensive ends would have cleaner paths to the quarterback because offensive lines can't slide protection when Williams is collapsing the pocket from the inside. Linebackers like Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone would have cleaner reads in the run game because Williams would be eating up blockers and creating gaps for them to flow through. The Lions have shown all season that they're not afraid to use multiple defensive line looks, rotating fresh bodies to keep everyone playing at maximum intensity. Adding Williams to that rotation means we could deploy 5 down lineman packages that would be virtually impossible for opposing offenses to handle. How do you double-team Williams and also account for Hutchinson on the edge? How do you establish a running game when Williams is occupying 2 blockers and McNeil is winning one-on-ones? These are the kinds of matchup nightmares that championship defenses create, and it's exactly what the Lions would have with Williams in the mix. Let me address the elephant in the room. What would it cost to acquire a player of Williams's caliber? We're likely talking about a significant draft capital investment, probably a first-round pick, and additional selections. Some fans might balk at that price, but here's the reality of championship football in today's NFL. You cannot win a Super Bowl without elite players on both sides of the ball, and elite players cost premium assets. The Lions have built through the draft brilliantly over the past few years, accumulating young talent and creating a sustainable roster. But there comes a time when you have to cash in some of those future assets to maximize your current championship window. Jared Goff is playing at an MVP level right now. Our offensive weapons are in their prime. Our offensive line is dominant. This is the window. This is the time when you go all in and give yourself the best possible chance to win it all. Trading a future first-round pick for a proven 3-time Pro Bowler who's 27 years old and under contract for multiple years isn't mortgaging the future, it's investing in sustained excellence. This isn't like trading for a 33-year-old rental player who might give you 6 good months. This is acquiring a cornerstone defensive player who can anchor your line for years to come. The connection between Williams and Lions defensive line coach Todd Wash is another factor that makes this move so appealing. While Williams worked extensively with his previous position coaches, the transition to Wash's system would be smooth because of Williams's football IQ and technique. He's described as one of the most humble and hard-working top picks anyone has been around, coming to work every day with a hard hat mentality that fits perfectly with the culture Dan Campbell has built in Detroit. This isn't a diva player who needs constant attention. This is a professional who puts his head down, does his job at an elite level, and makes everyone around him better. Williams himself has talked about hanging his hat on being disruptive, being dominant, rushing the passer, and stopping the run. That's exactly the mentality the Lions need in the interior. We've seen too many games where opposing offenses establish the run early, and it opens up everything else for them. With Williams in the middle, that becomes exponentially more difficult. He's the kind of player who can single-handedly take away an opponent's best offensive weapon simply by dominating his matchup and forcing offenses to adjust their entire game plan. The timing of this potential move is also crucial. We're approaching the midpoint of the season, which means there's still plenty of time for Williams to integrate into the defense, build chemistry with his teammates, and be fully up to speed for the playoff push. This isn't a desperation move made in December when you're trying to save a sinking ship. This is a calculated, strategic addition made by a team that's already playing at a high level and looking to add that final piece that puts them over the top. I'm incredibly optimistic about what this move could mean for our Super Bowl chances. The Lions have everything you need offensively to score on anyone. Our coaching staff is one of the best in football. Our locker room culture is special, with guys who genuinely play for each other and buy into the program. Adding Quinnen Williams gives us that defensive anchor we've been missing, that game changer who can take over in crucial moments and make the plays that championships are built on. This is the kind of bold, aggressive move that separates pretenders from contenders, and I absolutely love that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are willing to go for it. So here's what I want to know from all of you watching right now. Would you be excited if the Lions traded for Quinnen Williams? Do you think adding an elite interior defensive lineman is the missing piece for a Super Bowl run? And what would you be willing to give up in terms of draft capital to make this happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I genuinely want to hear from Lions Nation on this potential franchise-altering move. Make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. I'm bringing you breaking news, insider analysis, and everything you need to stay connected with your Detroit Lions. Smash that like button if you're excited about the possibility of adding Quinnen Williams. Share this video with every Lions fan, and let's keep building this community as we chase that elusive Super Bowl championship. Lions Nation, the future is bright, and it's time to finish what we started. Let's go get that ring.